The US and the Philippines are holding their largest ever joint military drills a day after China concluded large-scale exercises around Taiwan. Beijing simulated attacks on Taiwan in response to the island's leader meeting the US House Speaker last week. Plans for the joint exercises between the US and the Philippines predated China's activities, but won't do anything to calm already simmering tensions in the region. Our correspondent Shaima Khalil has more details.
Security personnel will remain in their post. They will continue to defend the nation. That's what the Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen has said. And even though China announced that these military exercises, which started on Saturday right after she came back from the United States, have ended on Monday, we have at least 8 warships still in Taiwanese water, eight Chinese warships. So the drills may have concluded, but the Chinese presence is still there. The tension is still there. Now, we've had 3 days of military exercises, Chinese military exercises around Taiwan, Operation Joint Sword, where China simulated or practiced precision attacks on Taiwanese targets, simulated surrounding Taiwan, but also we've had jets flying into Taiwanese airspace to Taiwan's east, and this dramatic animation video that showed China attacking Taiwan by sea, air, and hitting some targets in Taiwan with explosions. So quite dramatic exercises there. A day after that, another set of drills, this time between the U.S. and the Philippines. The Balikatan exercises, they announced that they're going to be their biggest ever. They're going to involve 17,000 troops and a live fire exercise on a sunken ship in the South China Sea. Now, we knew these were going to happen. They were agreed on after the U.S. secured a defense deal with the Philippines earlier this year. So we knew they were happening. We knew that they were going to be big. But this large scale, if you will, display of American air power in the region could not have come at a more sensitive time in the Indo-Pacific. We know that they're going to happen around Philippine waters, but also the South China Sea. 2 things you need to know about this area. It's 3. It's tense. It is a very, very busy trading route, and it's highly contested by China. And already Beijing has expressed that it's not happy, even though Manila has reassured them that this is to bolster the country's military capabilities. So you've got 2 sets of drills happening, one after another, at an increasingly tense time here in the region, increasingly heightened tension between the US and China as those 2 powers are trying to bolster their military power here in the Indo-Pacific.
If the government were ever to digitize currency, your freedoms would evaporate. They could zero out your bank account and make you impoverished for being disobedient. You would be a serf at best. And with that in mind, you should know that central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, are about to become the norm in Europe. The president of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, has just said that Europeans will not be able to use more than $1,000 in cash anymore.
Now we have in Europe this threshold. Above 1,000 euros, you cannot pay cash. If you do, you are on the grey market. So you take your risk. You get caught, you are fined, or you go in jail.
So you go to jail for spending your own money if they don't control it. That's coming here. Tulsi Gabbard has spoken out against it. She, of course, ran for president, served in the House from Hawaii, and joins us now. Congressman, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, Tucker.
This is so dystopian, you'd hate to think it could ever come here. You think it might?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is just the latest effort by those in power in our country who are intent on undermining and taking away our own freedoms and liberties. This central bank digital currency is about government-sanctioned surveillance and control. It's about them being able to keep track of every single thing that we purchase, whether it's a stick of gum or an automobile or anything in between. And so if they have all this information and data, which they will in this system, then where does that lead? It gives them the power to decide, okay, well, hey, we don't want to allow you to purchase certain things, or we may deem it necessary to freeze your overall account. This power and what they can do with it, it's not something we have to imagine. We've already seen how Democrats in Congress, Elizabeth Warren and others, are pressuring credit card companies to code and keep track of any purchase that's made at a store that sells firearms. Why? So that these private companies can then say, hey, this person is purchasing, I don't know what they deem is kind of the threshold, but they will then report that as suspicious activity to law enforcement and then expect law enforcement to take action and go after the purchases, legal purchases that a private person made. So this all comes back to how you open this. Once we give up our economic autonomy, we no longer have freedom. Once we allow someone else to control our wallet, they then control our freedom.
Do you think people understand what this means? It'll be sold, as always, as an effort to push back against terrorism or international financiers or crime or whatever, but do people understand on a gut level what could be coming?
I don't think they do, and it's understandable, because if you listen to what the government is telling us, like with all of these other things, whether it's the Patriot Act or the Restrict Act, they're doing the very same thing with this, saying, hey, this is for your own good. This is for your convenience, to make it easier for you to conduct transactions, when in fact they are giving themselves all of the power, taking it away from us, undermining our God-given rights and freedoms in the Constitution, because they want to be able to control us. They want to be able to control we the people.
So nicely put. Tulsi Gabbard joining us tonight. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks, Tucker.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson tonight.
Now, sometimes a brand name becomes so huge, it actually becomes synonymous with the product itself. Think about Hoover, for example, or Tupperware. But for Tupperware, those were the glory days. Today, the 77-year-old firm said there was a substantial doubt about its ability to continue as a going concern. Well, for generations, of course, there were Tupperware parties. The company had booming sales. So the big question, what's gone wrong? Joining us now is Josh Barry. He's a food and drink journalist. Josh, good to talk to you. What did go wrong for Tupperware?
I think that today we live in a digital age, and Tupperware is a heritage brand that for 77 years has been, synonymous with households, but it hasn't adapted, and we've got a brand that is known but doesn't really have any appeal to a younger audience.
You say it's a heritage brand, and it strikes me that when it comes to something like branding, that's quite a good thing to have. But are you suggesting it's failed to reinvent itself for the new way that we live?
Well, the last Tupperware party held in the UK took place in 2003, and that was when it had a sales force of about 1,500 people here in the UK. That's a long time ago, and that has always been its business model. It doesn't really have a face on social media. Instagram, there's no Tupperware UK. There's one in India, but that's only got about 50,000 followers. And younger people, they buy things online. That's how they connect with a brand. That's how they learn about new products. Everything's online. And Tupperware, as known as it is, hasn't really moved forward, and it's become quite a staid company.
Yeah, and one would also assume, and we've been talking about this in the newsroom today, that a lot of people might be ordering things like deliveries, takeaways. They come pre-packaged in their own Tupperware, don't they? In a plastic pot of some sort that you probably end up reusing.
Well, yeah, I mean, when Tupperware first came into existence, there wasn't really takeaways. There might have been pizza, I don't know, I wasn't around. But yeah, most takeaways now come in plastic containers. And actually, another big thing here is price. One thing, you can get free takeaway containers and use those, or you can go into a supermarket and buy something that Tupperware might charge £15 for £2 or £3. So the appeal really isn't there for younger consumers.
Yeah, and you'll know about this in your job. To stay relevant, you've got to keep reinventing, you've got to do new stuff, you've got to be cool, you've got to be maybe subject to influencers and all that sort of thing. Is there any hope for Tupperware, or has the ship sailed?
Well, I'd hope so, because, it's been known for so long. It's an interesting and cool brand. Well, it's not cool anymore, that's entirely the point, but it is an interesting one. And I wouldn't ever really want to see a business like that go. but it does have to adapt. It does have to move forward. And especially given it's built on plastic, we live in a world that's trying to do away with that product, that material. So it's tried, it's kind of moved into other utensils and equipment. You know, take away cups that you take on the train, kitchen utensils, tongs, whatever. But it's got to move pretty quickly, and it doesn't seem to be. I think it needs to get onto TikTok and start maneuvering with a little bit more fervor.
Breaking news to tell you about in the escalating battle between Manhattan DA AlvinBragg and Republican members of Congress. Bragg is now suing the Judiciary Committee Chairman JimJordan, accusing Jordan of a transparent campaign to harass and intimidate him. NBC investigative reporter Chloe Atkins is here. This is extraordinary. I don't remember anything quite like this. What do we know?
Well, it just came out moments ago, and in this 50-page suit, and I'm going to read from my notes so I make sure I get it correctly. He filed it in federal court in SDNY, and he accuses Jordan of brazen and unconstitutional attacks on the prosecution of the former president Donald Trump in a transparent campaign, like you said, to intimidate and attack the DA, the Manhattan DA Bragg. And Bragg, keep in mind, he unveiled 34 felony charges against the former President Trump in Manhattan not too long ago. So this is fresh right after that. And so what they are specifically seeking in this suit that Bragg and his team filed in SDNY, they're seeking to bar Jordan and his congressional allies from enforcing a subpoena sent to Mark Pomerantz, who's once the leader of the DA's office of the Trump investigations during his tenure, during his time there, who also later wrote a book about his experience. But, you know, I do want to point out a statement from Bragg. He said, I'm trying to find it in my notes, but, you know, this is a huge move on their behalf from the Manhattan DA's office. And we are currently going through this suit as we speak, and we'll have more to come as we go through it, Chris.
Worth reminding folks that Jordan, in his role as the House Judiciary Committee chairman, sent a letter to a couple of Republican colleagues, demanded the DA's office provide communication documents and testimony about Bragg's investigation of Trump. That's not something we've seen before. And we also know that he is planning, we reported this earlier in the hour, to go to Manhattan. They're going to have sort of a live, what they consider to be a fact-finding mission. The Democrats are going to be there with him. I know this literally just broke. Chloe ran here. Thank you so much for this reporting.